to the Foreign Report, your foreign policy show that gives you the gory details of geopolitics.
LFG.
Hopefully some laughs along the way. I'm your FP Zaddy, your foreign policy curious host, Seena Ghaznavi.
FPZ in the house.
And T-Seps.
Blah.
Travis Irvine.
Double
Columbia Journalism School
Double
grad.
Columbia.
Look out.
The hat was $60,000. The T-shirt was $15.99. Thank you, gift shop.
Newsletter. Sign up for it. ForeignReportShow.com. We do a little breakdown of what we missed from the last week, some of the stuff we covered, what's on my mind, what's on Travis's mind.
My hat.
Producer Danielle does a beautiful intro. You want to sign up for the newsletter. It's free. It's free for now.
Ah!
TheForeignReportLPN@gmail.com. Thank you for the emails. We really appreciate them. Keep them coming. And remember, only nice things.
Only nice things in the comments, please. Seena will not read them.
I am not reading them.
Wink.
Big show today, Travis.
Huge show. Post-election day show.
I mean...
Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. I'm a grand old flag. I'm a high-flying flag. It's election day yesterday.
Listen, it was incredible to watch election coverage and not want to jump out of a window.
I know, right?
I was so...
It's such a difference. What a difference a year makes.
This is the first time I didn't say to my wife, I'm going to bed!
I'm going to bed early. No, you stayed up late. We all know.
I was so just pleasantly surprised that the world did not fall farther into catastrophe.
Yeah, right. And it started off with a pleasant surprise, too.
Of Dick Cheney passing away.
What a figurative and literal passing of the torch. You could have not have written a better election day story.
And I tell you, there's going to be some torches where Dick Cheney's going.
Hey-oh! Hold on, folks. Wow. You're going to want to tweet that into the ether and beyond.
Hitting threes like Curry. Anyways,
Wow.
guys, it's going to be a big show today. We're going to do a little election coverage. We're going to talk about a great American passing away, large American passing away. We've also got updates that, and listen, it's the Foreign Report, so we've got terrible news.
Yeah, don't worry. Oh, don't worry.
Yeah.
That's what B Block is for.
B Block is going to be about Sudan.
We'll build you up in A Block. We'll kill your dreams in B Block.
Don't worry. And then we got a beefy JD Vance corner
It was a
today.
beefy week for JD, which is crazy because he looked like a beefcake.
He crossed multiple genres into like
He
pop gossip.
And he went viral internationally.
Yeah.
Again, for all the wrong and best reasons.
All the wrong reasons. All right, let's dive into this.
Here we go.
Guys, domestic policy is foreign policy. Prime Minister Netanyahu said if Zohran Mamdani wins the New York City mayoral race, that he will never go to New York City.
Woo! That's what you call double good news.
Yeah, you can't beat him then. Listen, it's incredible. So he won. And by the way, it was a lot closer than I thought. Cuomo's fear-mongering, I think, and telling everyone to not vote for Curtis Sliwa worked, and
Sure.
the gap was a lot. Sliwa, I think, ended up with like 8% of the vote. I'm not exactly sure
That's
what those
good
numbers
Republican numbers for New York.
But in all the polls before, he was at like 15, almost 20.
Right.
Cuomo absorbed a lot of that and won. Looks like Mamdani may just get over 50%. He's at 50.5. Here we sit on the day after Election Day, Wednesday, November 5th. Not necessarily a mandate,
Right.
but a decided victory for sure.
The majority.
Getting over 50%, I think, was crucial.
Yeah.
Because under 50, we don't want that. Then it's like there's a whole bunch of problems.
Right.
But you had several other races that happened as well.
Yes, domestic races. And again, domestic policy is foreign policy. This has reverberations around the world.
Absolutely. And Democrat Mikey Sherrill won.
Corinne Fisher was talking about that race.
Exactly.
That race also got crazy close.
That was close, but that Ciccarelli guy has run 3 times ever governor.
Me too, and I got news for you, buddy. You're done now.
You're toast.
Hang up the boots.
Abigail Spanberger won to be the first woman to hold the governorship in Virginia.
Handedly. And this is one, Virginia, by the way, every time there's a presidential election, Virginia has their governor election in that off year after the presidential election. So in 2021, that was a referendum on the Biden presidency, right? And then you got that Glenn Youngkin guy.
Yep.
And the Republican candidate this year was his LG. But, I mean, we've just seen how Trump decimated D.C. jobs. And a lot of those people live in Virginia.
Yeah.
So, of course, Virginia went hard blue on this one. I always see Virginia as the indicator post-presidential election where the country goes next. So good for you, VA.
Big news out of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Democrats successfully defended 3 justices.
That's big, too.
That's
PA went hard red in 2024.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, California, Prop 50.
Woo! You voted for that, right?
I did. I voted.
What was your voting experience like?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I went to the voting station. I got the ballot. It went into the machine.
Incredible.
I used an iPad or some sort of equivalent tablet to cast my yes vote for Prop 50.
Right, and then it asks you the question at the end, do you want your vote to count 14 times? You're like, yes.
Yes, absolutely. It was Gavin Newsom, AI face. And then the ballot printed it. It came out. I confirmed it with my eyes, and then it went back in to cast, which I think is the digital and the physical world meeting. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've been just mailing it in 200 times every election.
Mailing ballot. Yeah, sure. And that's just paper. No, that's the same in Ohio. I voted early in Ohio. And it's the same deal. They keep an electric tab and then a printed tab. I mean, our voter fraud, quote unquote, is like 0.0000001%
It's crazy.
error. So good on the system. It works.
I think one thing to know about Prop 50, this was the measure to allow for the redistricting to happen next year.
Again, huge. This will have a domestic policy that will have foreign policy implications. If the Democrats can win back the U.S. House of Representatives in 2026, fight the gerrymandering battle with the Republicans in Texas and Missouri and et cetera, you might save the United States in a foreign policy angle as well.
No one likes gerrymandering.
No, it's bad.
It's tough. It is difficult. It gets really dirty. But Texas did it. Gavin Newsom said, we're going to do it if Texas does it.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we're at. One thing to keep in mind, the California gerrymandering that'll happen next year will reset after 2030 when there's a new census. So this isn't forever, okay?
This is temporary. And I like that California actually put on the ballot to vote for it, whereas Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, they just rammed it through their Republican-run state legislatures.
And if California's turning red, if these white supremacists marching in Huntington Beach are so popular, why didn't you win?
Why didn't you win?
Why didn't you win? All you had to do is vote on one thing.
Right.
One thing.
Right.
Was it a weird judge to vote for it? No, you just voted on one thing.
California's got some weird Republican pockets. I always found it funny that Trump did very well in a place called Orange County.
Yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah, checks out.
Love Orange. Check my face.
Yeah, he kills there. Anyways, guys. Speaking of the ultimate domestic policy as foreign policy.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Election day kicked off with a bang.
A real American hero, Dick Cheney, former vice president, former chief of staff to President Gerald Ford, served in Congress. You know what his big vote in Congress was? I don't know. I'm sure he had a lot of votes in Congress.
I'm sure he had. God, this one is ridiculous. This is the thing, man. A lot of people, I don't know if a lot of our listeners know about Dick Cheney.
That's what thank you for bringing that up.
Maybe some of them forget who Dick Cheney is, or maybe people like us want to forget who Dick Cheney was. Easily the most powerful vice president in our lifetime.
Not even close.
Was basically president.
He was, listen, if you're ever at a cocktail party and someone's like, well, blah, blah, blah was a really good vice president, you throw a drink in their face and you tell them Dick Cheney was the most powerful vice president in human history.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't say this as a fan. Okay? We don't like him at all.
Right.
Okay? We're happy he's gone. But he was still the most powerful vice president we have ever seen, and frankly, I think we will ever see. Because this man was diabolical. In Congress, you know what he did?
Yeah.
He
so
voted.
His political career, like you said,
Yes.
he was like the youngest chief of staff for a president ever at the end of the 70s.
Yeah.
And then he went to Congress. Hit me with this crazy vote that he did.
He voted against a resolution.
A resolution, which is non-binding.
It's
just
we are speaking as Congress.
As an idea.
Calling for the release of Nelson Mandela.
He voted against it. He's just like, leave him in there.
Let's just let that
I
sink
remember
in.
the Dick Cheney impression. Let's bring it. Leave him in there.
Yeah.
Leave Nelson Mandela. No, never heard of him.
What?
Never heard of him in Wyoming. No, I'll tell you that much.
What?
I liked how Dick Cheney died when he was 84, but our whole lifetime, he was like perpetually looked 84. He had
80
like 15 heart attacks.
Yeah. And he survived all of them, and he has a heart transplant. He had a heart
Like
transplant.
2 heart transplants.
That's a lot
The
of heart
man
attacks.
was running on baby blood.
He pointed at a little child. He's like, "Give me that heart." The defense secretary, he was defense secretary for George H.W. Bush.
Gulf War One,
Desert Storm, yeah.
the prequel.
And so this man had the career of careers. I mean, we should not feel like, he was taken so soon.
Taken so soon. Taken so soon.
By the way, I'm not going to report on this at all, but Kamala Harris had possibly the worst take on
the cringeworthy, yeah.
Oh my!
Well, and again,
God.
this is why we're bringing this up. You got to know the history of Dick Cheney before you know this modern version of Dick Cheney, where he was a cute old man whose daughter was serving in Congress and was against Trump. And he visited Congress after January 6th. I mean, he really seemed to give a shit about the U.S. Constitution after he was done shredding it as vice president.
And you know what? I think we should honor him by going through the top 10 highlights of this patriotic hero.
Oh, God. Can we just make it 5? I don't know if I
You can't do 10? We're deep.
Well, let's see how many we get through.
Okay, there's some really good ones, and we could skip around a little bit. These are in no particular order because they're all equally offensive and terrible.
All terrible.
Okay, again.
I'll try to make it bearable.
There you go. I love it. Okay, first one. He is the torturer in chief.
Yes.
Cheney publicly defended and advocated for, quote, enhanced interrogation techniques, including waterboarding, which he called a, quote, no-brainer in a 2006 radio interview. Ooh. And here's a clip from 10 years ago from NBC News. You'll hear Kristen Welker talking about it, and then having a little clip from Dick Cheney
and
as
just
well.
For context, he was vice president during 9/11.
Yeah.
And after 9/11, we launched the War on Terror, which, again, was a lot of him and Donald Rumsfeld, these guys in the George W. Bush administration. And with the War on Terror, the whole world was a battlefield.
Yeah.
And so old laws and rules no longer applied, according to their logic, to anywhere in the world.
And you know what? There was no blowback. No one
None
had any
whatsoever. No.
Nothing got worse.
No. All good.
It didn't embolden enemies.
It all worked out real nice.
We've been in such a period of peace since then.
So much peace.
So much, but not actually too much peace. Okay. Here is a quick clip. Check it out.
Lester, good evening. Facing heavy criticism after the Senate intelligence report was released this past week, former Vice President Dick Cheney was unapologetic today and said the Bush administration got it right. Former Vice President Dick Cheney, unwavering in his support for the harsh interrogation tactics that happened on his watch, today ratcheted up his defense on Meet the Press.
I'd do it again in a minute.
Cheney argued the methods, including prolonged periods of waterboarding, were necessary in the wake of this.
By the way, and then NBC made an animation of what waterboarding looks like.
Yeah, it looks real
which, by the way, I don't think this is actually accurate. You're supposed to tilt the head back slightly.
Right. It's supposed to be like they're drowning.
Yeah, so you need it. But I think this could still work. By the way, in the NBC News animation that they did, it looks like a GoldenEye. It looks like 007 GoldenEye from N64.
Oh, yeah. It looks fun.
And it looks like they're pouring 3D water.
They're having
and
a party.
they're in suits. I don't think they were in suits when they were waterboarding.
Well, you never know. The CIA, I guess.
Keep it classy, CIA.
Yeah,
all right.
So he'd do it again. He liked torture. He made it official U.S. policy.
He established secret CIA prisons and did the whole extraordinary rendition. So he created these black sites. Where could you do this waterboarding? You had to do it offshore, off American soil. So these black sites are where the enhanced interrogation took place.
Gotcha. Because when you know you're breaking the law, do it in a place where the law doesn't apply.
Exactly. Why not?
Man, this guy's smart.
Then he deceived, and then the guys. This is. I hope you all know this.
I hope you all.
He is the architect of deceiving Congress when it came to weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Of course, we had 9/11 happen in New York City, and then instead of going after the 9/11 terrorists, we decided that it was good to go into Iraq
as well. Yeah, I mean, in theory, we went after the 9/11 terrorists, but we invaded Afghanistan, and then they eventually found Osama bin Laden, the alleged perpetrator, in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So you missed the mark multiple times, but don't worry, they went into Iraq for some reason.
And you know what? All those 9/11 hijackers, all Iraqis. Oh, is that?
No, is that? No, wait.
Oh, is that? Oh, they.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, got it.
Every
Yeah,
single one of them.
Every one of
All
them.
19.
All 19.
Great.
So this continues. So he also made Colin Powell lie in front of the United Nations, and Colin Powell didn't feel great about it, but he did it anyway because he's a good soldier. And the same speech from Dick Cheney. And let me just play this clip first, and then I'll come back on the other side of it because it is. This is just. We think the lying was bad. At least we have like the internet to scream it. We didn't have anything.
Yeah, we didn't have anything.
There was nothing for us to do or say.
And they would say it to like major news outlets, and then the major news outlets would be like, "Well, that's what they're saying."
Well, we heard it from one person. We confirmed it with another government
And
official.
now it's news.
It's definitely news.
Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
Well, he said it. I guess that's the end
I guess
of
that's
that.
Thanks, AP.
Case closed.
Case closed.
There is
The
no
Vice
doubt
President.
that he is amassing them to use them against our friends, against our allies, and against us.
Oh, wow.
And there is
There we
no
go.
doubt
No
that his
doubt.
aggressive regional ambitions will lead him into future confrontations with his neighbors. Confrontations that will involve both the weapons that he has today and the ones he will continue to develop with his oil wealth.
Let me just say,
grief.
we backed Iraq for decades during the Iran-Iraq War.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the farmers in the United States? Farm subsidies were going to farmers in America to grow corn that we shipped to Iraq.
God, you were bringing back all the memories of College Travis being irate. Donald Rumsfeld shook the hand of
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein because he was our guy.
He was our
in
guy.
the Middle East, a.k.a. West Asia.
You're our guy until you aren't.
Yeah, exactly. And at that point, in 2001, and after that, we went after Saddam Hussein with troops on the ground.
Oh, so
which
many
was
troops.
a major implication
We
for
tore down that
region.
man's statue.
A lot of them. Tore a lot of them down. Found him in a hole, and that was a big deal. That was a big news conference. They're like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
The weird part is like the Dick Cheney picked the only guy in the world that was more diabolical and evil than him to go after. Okay, so you couldn't be like, why are we going after Saddam?
I'm top evil guy here. I'm an evil guy.
Let's not forget the warrantless wiretapping, and that's not necessarily a specific Dick Cheney thing, but the Patriot Act and pushing that through Congress was a big part of his mandate. And in 2005, he defended this as part of restoring presidential powers eroded after Watergate. That's the big thing here.
Yeah.
More power to the president. The program that was part of it intercepted millions of communications without probable cause or judicial oversight, violating both statutory law and constitutional protections.
Yeah.
Okay.
It set a precedent going forward for a unilateral executive branch
Yes.
to just do whatever they want. And I remember thinking this was insane way back in the early 2000s, and look at where we are now.
And look, there was Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, where we were just extraordinary renditioning guys left and right, pushing them out, and you know the amount of torture and the treatment of these prisoners.
Right.
They would come in.
And some of them never even got charged with anything officially, right? It was a Canadian guy, I remember reading a long time ago, that he had to, he never did anything wrong.
And I guess the thing that I want to communicate here is I understand there's a whole like, are you on the military field or on the civilian crime field kind of thing? And that's why you have like military justice versus civilian justice. But what Dick Cheney helped do and what he was responsible for doing is he made the entire world a battlefield.
Right.
And that is critical. That's
Legally.
where we are at still, basically,
Yeah.
where we can go in anywhere. Like, you're going to see what's going to happen in Venezuela. We're making Venezuela into a battlefield because
Right.
we decide.
Narco-terrorism.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you just call it terrorism, you can make it into a battlefield. And the other thing is, we have a great body of jurisprudential work to pull from to adjudicate criminals, right? And so when you use a military tribunal, like they were in the case of these Gitmo hearings, it's bad. It's not going to work, and you're not going to have constitutional rights. You're not going to have the transparency. And like when someone goes through that process, the outcome is not going to be trusted, right? If someone goes through the criminal process here, you at least kind of know that what happened. You at least kind of know there was a defense of that person. You at least kind of know, okay, I trust that a lot more than the opaque military tribunal that just had the guy walk up and then, peace, you're back in prison.
Right.
Okay, here's another clip about Gitmo.
During his final years in office, President Bush said repeatedly he wanted to close the prison at Guantanamo, where suspected terrorists were being held indefinitely without trial. Turns out it was his own vice president who stood in the way.
The vice president was among those who were generally determined to stick to the status quo.
In 2005, then Pentagon official Matthew Waxman was part of an unsuccessful attempt to close Guantanamo. Now that President Obama has ordered it closed, Cheney has denounced the decision as naive.
When we get people who are more concerned about reading the rights to an al-Qaeda terrorist than they are with protecting the United States against people who are absolutely committed to do everything they can to kill Americans, then I worry.
According to Cheney, 61 of the 530 prisoners released from Guantanamo during the Bush administration have already gone back to terrorism. According to the Defense Intelligence Agency, there are 61 suspected cases of former detainees rejoining the fight. But so far, only 18 have been confirmed.
Sorry, what did you expect was going to happen?
Yeah, right. It's like the American judicial system, right? When people go in for crimes, they serve in prison. A lot of them, they do not get reformed when they get out, and then they go back to a life of crime.
Let me run through the next few of these so we can get on with this. This is just crazy. The other thing that he was actually known for was he did not have presidential ambitions, and I think that's important to remember because he didn't care about becoming president. Right. Martha Raddatz, we've all known her. She's great reporting. She said about the Iraq War, she said, 2/3 of Americans say it's not worth fighting. Cheney said, so? And Raddatz said, so you don't care what the American people think? Cheney said, no, I think you cannot be blown off course by the fluctuations in the public opinion polls. And then it's like this idea of like, we're a democracy. Public opinion does matter. And it's like the people are speaking out about why or why not we should be doing this war. And his whole thing was, instead of trying to be a person, a vice president that achieves president afterwards, he created his presidency within the vice presidency.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. Of course, I don't know if you remember this, but he also was responsible for revealing the identity of Valerie Plame, who was an undercover CIA operative. Her husband was a diplomat, Joseph Wilson. He published an op-ed contradicting the Bush administration's claims about Iraqi uranium purchases. And there was this idea of yellow cake in Africa and all this stuff. And then Cheney's office appears to have been involved in leaking the identity of Valerie Plame as a result of getting back at that. Right. Cheney's chief of staff, Scooter Libby, is the one that actually did the deed.
Or took the rap.
The rap and then went to prison for perjury. And then he got commuted, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And so that was the whole thing. Again, we talked about expanding the executive power. He's always in the dark. And let me just end with this clip. And I think this sums him up really, really well.
Did in Iraq was exactly the right thing to do. If I had it to recommend all over again, I would recommend exactly the same course of action.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
All right. If I could do it again, I would do it again.
That was, that's from from number 10 to number 1, the countdown. He'd do it all again, basically.
Do it. And he said that multiple. He kept saying it over and over and over again. Well,
I mean, I'm having PTSD from the early 2000s from seeing all these clips again, but I do think it's important to consider his actual legacy. I'm glad we did that. I also would just recommend the movie that they made, which was it was called Vice. I think it should have had a better title, but it stars Christian Bale as Dick Cheney. And there is a moment at the end where he looks into the camera, and I think it's the filmmakers trying to put themselves in Dick Cheney's place. When 9/11 happened, he very much, I think, went into a mode of, I will never let this happen to this country again, and that's why he turned into such a monster, but like you said, that has repercussions. And just because you think you're right doesn't mean history will judge you as if you were right.
It has pushed not only the Republican Party to where it is today,
Right.
it has pushed our country in a place where we have eroded any sense of decency that we've had and earned throughout the world, which wasn't a lot.
Well, even in the 90s, though, it
Yeah.
felt like we were headed towards a good place.
Sure,
Cold
but-
War was over.
I mean, but the reality of the post-Cold War order hadn't really set in on like the downsides, and we were still running high off that.
Yeah.
And this was like the reckoning and the speeding up of everyone seeing America in this light that is, where we're at today.
Yes.
And it's a violent. We are the Viking people of this time.
Which is wild, because we
Yeah.
were not always that. And we can't understate what the Iraq War did to that region.
Oh.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of people killed and displaced. Just absolutely brutal stuff.
So, Vice President Dick Cheney, we salute you in hell. God, this is the foreign report. Was that bearable?
I hope so.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you don't think Dick Cheney's in hell, what do you think? Who does go? Then no one's in hell.
Then just no one.
Is it just fake? Is it
There's
fake?
no
Oh,
one hell.
we have rooms open in hell. Dick Cheney's not here. Where is Dick Cheney?
Oh gosh, purgatory. Tops.
Definitely not in purgatory.
Yeah, right. They got him through the line real quick.
Real fast. Anyways, oh my God. Talk about something even worse.
Oh, good.
I don't know if people have seen this. I feel okay. Let me just break something down real quick.
Please,
Sorry,
break
Los
it down.
Celsius. I feel I don't feel bad. I feel responsible for not talking about Sudan earlier.
Oh,
I wanted to, but it's taken me a lot to read about it and understand it, and I still don't have as good of an understanding as I would like, because the history of what's happened there is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of fighting that has happened, and the civil wars that have happened, and the bloodshed that has happened, and the power struggles that have happened. It's wild. And so we're going to talk about it a little bit today, because I think it's super important about what's happening right now
Right.
in Sudan. But I want you to know we're going to do more on it in the future as we learn on it. I'm learning, and I'm trying to convey that to everyone, to you, Travis, to everyone that I know, because I think it's important for us to talk about. We are going to try to get some experts on as well to get their analysis. But this is something that the media is not covering, and I also think I'm guilty of being a product of what the media is talking about to a certain extent.
Sure.
And I'm also an Iranian American, so I am focused on West Asia a little too much, and that is my own bias. And I think someone even mentioned, like, when are you guys going to talk about it? And it's funny because we had always planned on talking about it this week, so I'm glad we are, but I'm also very upset that we're talking about it, because the civil war that's happening right now with between the Sudanese military and the paramilitary rapid support forces, the SAF versus the RSF, has devolved even further.
Oh, good.
And this started in 2023 in April, and it has gone back and forth. But right now, the Sudanese military has ceded control of all of Darfur, which is like the western part of Sudan, to the RSF.
Okay.
The last stronghold for the SAF was the city of El Fashir.
Okay. So these are the two different sides in the civil war in Sudan.
Exactly.
ASF, RSF.
And these are two military powers that have been struggling to gain complete control. And Al Fashir was the stronghold for the SAF, for the Sudanese military. They had been under siege for like 18 months. It's also where a lot of people that were displaced were going for safety. And the government has now confirmed that it has abandoned its position there. And in the final days of the siege, the RSF said it considered the 250,000 people
Whoa.
that were there to be supporting the enemy.
Oh, no.
And now there's evidence that the RSF has done mass killings of civilians, including 460 people at a local maternity hospital.
Yikes.
And this is a thing that the RSF does. They took control of a Jania I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but in 2023, they killed 15,000 civilians.
Yikes.
And I think it's important to know that the way we know those people, those 460 people were killed, is not because there are inspectors or people on the ground. It's because the RSF troops themselves have been recording themselves in selfie videos in front of burnt, murdered bodies.
Oh, no.
And we also see satellite footage from above where they can estimate what a human body looks like in the length. And you could see the blood-soaked ground around them. That's how much carnage.
From space?
Well, your satellite is in space, yes.
Ugh. Okay. Seems pretty bad. How did we get here?
Exactly. How did we get here? And so we could go all the way back to 1953, which we will not do. But it
seems like a lot of things started in 1953.
And it was the Brits' fault, by the way, and I can't wait to do a full breakdown on that because when I was learning about this, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. The Brits are responsible for
this one too? Oh, boy.
So there is a place called South Sudan.
Okay.
That is mainly Christian. And for years, the Christians that lived there, Christian Africans that were living there, and the northern Arabized northern Sudanese were fighting. There was a lot of fighting. And the power struggles were happening. And one thing to also keep in mind is Sudan is huge. It's a huge piece of land. Like, I think 50 million people were there. It's huge. So that's a difficult place to govern in and of itself with that much land, right? 2011, South Sudan wins their independence. So now you have a mix of religions, but mainly Muslim-dominated Sudan. And instead of it being a north-south issue, you have an east-west battle that's happening.
Oh, okay.
And in 2019, the guy that was in power, and it's just coup after coup after coup. Like, one military guy gets in power, and then another military guy kills him.
Phew.
And so in 2019, the guy that was in power was ousted by two separate military leaders that then started working together.
Okay.
To oust the one guy.
All right.
And so now do you know who the battle is between?
Probably those two guys.
Those two guys.
I'm going to take a wild guess.
Those two guys. And the whole idea was that there would be some transition to civilian power. Oh, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, right.
And so this recent conflict started in April of 2023 as opposing factions in the military. The SAF, basically the conventional state military, and the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF. And the RSF was first formed back in 2013 to fight rebel groups in Darfur, but continued to grow in autonomy and power under leadership of Mohammed Hamdan, known as Hameti, which is like, I think Arabic for like friend or something. That was like his nickname or something like that. So anyways.
I don't know if he's a very good friend.
I know when the government
friend of who?
tried to rein them in and integrate them into the SAF, the RSF launched a series of attacks that sparked the ongoing civil war. The RSF has been backed by the UAE,
which is
the United Arab Emirates.
Great.
And while the government has been supported by Iran, Turkey, and Russia.
All great guys.
Russia, by the way, was backing the RSF. And there's a big difference here, is that the Wagner group from Russia.
Right, the mercenaries.
They were supporting the RSF.
Not just with weapons, but with like training and stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they were there, but the Ukrainians were going and backing the SAF to go after the Wagner group guys.
Oh,
but then they were like, no, fuck that. And then they went, and the Russians are now backing the SAF.
Huh.
And because they wanted to push back against any sort of Ukrainian influence in that region.
Oh, God.
And so you have this thing, and let me just be very explicit. There are war crimes against the leader of RSF. You want to talk about debate on a genocide. This is about an open and shut case of a genocide you could possibly see.
Really?
Both sides are accused of war crimes, and that's why it's like, who do you cheer for? There's no cheering for anyone. There is no good guy or bad guy here. There is, do you want to cheer for the small to medium-sized war crime, or do you want to cheer for the I can see the blood from space war crime?
Ugh.
So that's where we're at right now, is that both sides and the people are stuck in the middle. They have been fighting for freedom and fighting for self-determination since the country's inception, right? Since it gained independence 60 years ago.
Wow.
Since this civil war has started and this genocide has continued, an estimated 400,000 people have been killed and 12 million displaced from their homes.
You're talking about the current conflict.
Yes.
Wow.
So why this is important for us to take a look at. And yes, we should be looking at any genocide that's happening around the world because that's suffering and we should pay attention to it and we should speak about it. And I think there's always this question of like, why aren't we talking more about, in America, why aren't we talking more about the genocide in Sudan? Or why are we talking more about the genocide in Palestine versus Sudan? And why are we having this debate? If I could just put it very succinctly, when it comes to Israel and Palestine, the world and the U.S. are complicit. When it comes to the Sudan, we ignore it. And that is the major difference. We have this complete ignorance or indifference to what's happening there, mainly because there's not a lot of U.S. arms going into that part of the world.
Right.
And
It's
to
not
that
on our
conflict.
social media feeds or the news here.
It isn't, because the United States is actively taking part in what's happening in Israel and Palestine.
Right. We're supplying the weapons to Israel.
Yeah. And what's happening in Sudan is we keep talking, we keep kind of talking, we keep trying to influence, but we're not doing anything. And that is what's happening. And why is the UAE involved? And this is why we should be paying attention, is because Turkey and the UAE and Iran and Russia, those are countries that we are constantly integrating or interacting with.
Right.
And the UAE wants the gold that's coming out of Sudan, which you could see some very disturbing videos of people in UAE with all this gold. They don't have gold naturally occurring in the UAE.
Oh.
There is a lot of gold in Sudan, and you need not look further than the price of gold over the last year to maybe have a sense of why gold being a precious resource to them.
Interesting.
Yeah. The U.S. has been trying to work with UAE and Saudi Arabia and Egypt for months to try to negotiate a truce. Also, Egypt's been trying to influence that region and Sudan for decades. How that squares with the ongoing siege and the recent fall with Fashir and the atrocities that are being committed is still unclear. I mean, Travis,
Yeah.
this is terrible.
Yeah. It's real bad, man. I don't know how to make it bearable.
I don't
but
know
I think
either.
it's important that we're talking about it because no
agree.
one else is.
No one else is. I'm sorry we didn't talk about it earlier, but frankly, I wasn't sprinting to talk about this one.
Sure.
And we're going to talk about it more. I actually find the history of that region extremely interesting over the last few weeks of reading about it and studying it.
Yeah. I mean, even just what you're talking about, I mean, the fact that they have minerals, precious minerals,
Yeah.
tells me that that's what these foreign powers are actually after. It seems to be, I mean, not exactly what's happening in Haiti, but places like that where it's like, oh, they have all these minerals. Let's just keep it in a constant space of chaos,
And
right? And then you have foreign powers going in and getting the resources.
Exactly. And if you look at like how countries operate in general, everyone wants to have influence over someone so that you can build some sort of alliance or some sort of trade route or something like that. This is no different. This
Right.
is just one of the last countries that the powers of Russia and Turkey and Egypt and the UAE, they don't have too many places that they can influence. They're trying to influence Yemen and they're trying to influence in Sudan. And so
Interesting.
that's really where we should be keeping our eyes, because how they operate around the world is going to be how America operates and how the United States interacts with these countries as well. They'll be part of all of this just insanity. Just be happy that we're in a hemisphere with oceans on either side of our country and
Sure.
Canadians above us.
Oh.
The most beef we have is the Dodgers versus the Blue Jays, okay?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a trade war.
Take that. Luckily, two places that Trump does not like.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he can't invite either of the baseball teams to the White House.
Oh, is he going to do that?
I think it's usually a custom, but I doubt it'll
That's
happen
gonna
this
be
time.
awkward.
Yeah, right?
Anyways, guys, that's Sudan.
Hell yeah.
Let me leave you with just this quick map that for the BBC, so you get a lay
please,
of
yes.
what's happening out there.
Yeah, I want to know Sudan's place here.
So this is why it's the Brits' fault, by the way, because you could look at how the borders are cut, and it's like straight lines in Africa.
It's right south of Egypt.
South of Egypt, west of Ethiopia and Eritrea, east of Chad.
Wow, I didn't know the frats had made it to Africa. I make that joke every time I see Chad on a map, but it's good to see you. Your polos look great.
And so if you look on this map, and sorry for the audio listeners here, but check out the YouTube as well. I'll try to describe it as much as I can. There is the SAF, which is in red, and then the RSF in blue, and then in yellow, there are other armed groups like Boko Haram and all these other terrorist organizations and other rebel groups also operate in Africa, and so they're there as well. And so you can see Fashir is now completely engulfed by the RSF. But what was crazier before is that used to be just like a red dot of SAF there for the last 18 months. And what's been happening even like in 2024 is the RSF had a lot more of the eastern side of Sudan under control, but then the SAF got help from Ethiopia, Eritrea, and some other countries for military support, and they were able to push back the RSF. But now we're seeing just brutal genocide-level attacks happening to civilians across that southwestern part of Sudan, and they have almost pretty much complete control over it. The SAF still retains control over Khartoum, which is the capital of Sudan. And so you're going to see this map change, and it has changed a lot since April of 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
And even just, to see it on a map, I mean, historical context, south of Egypt, which of course has ancient roots in that whole area. I mean, you wonder where Egypt got all their gold, right? Probably from that Sudanese area. And then it's right along the Red Sea. And the Red Sea is like a vital transportation hub. So, it's just not just resources, but also location, clearly. And then, of course, Eritrea. I mean, I have a friend who's a comedian back in Ohio, and her family had to flee Eritrea. That whole place is, also a mess.
And also like the port, you can see the SAF still has control over the port.
Right, along the Red Sea.
And the backing of UAE versus the backing of Iran and Turkey, one of the things that's also happening in this conflict is drones. Drones are very actively being used by both sides because drones are so cheap, and not like the little first-person drones. I'm talking like big drones named like Hawkeye.
Oh, that's a big drone.
Storm Shadow.
Oh, that's a bigger drone.
Like whatever. I'm making these things up.
Oh, okay.
I think those are G.I. Joes. Did I just say G.I. Joe names?
Wait a minute.
I just said, but you know what I mean? They're like the big
ones.
The big ones.
Yeah.
And those are still very inexpensive to use and ship over. They're actually easy to transport over. They have long ranges and everything like that. So those are things that, like the landscape of war has changed even here, even in a more traditional ground-based war that you're seeing.
Wow. Location and resources. When
Yeah.
the news is terrible, sometimes you just have to talk about it and try to understand it.
Lean in.
Well, good. I appreciate your analysis, sir.
Oh, thank you. We are going to try to make it more bearable in our next segment with JD Vance. But again, reach out with some questions. We're going to keep talking about Sudan. If you know experts on Sudan, or if you have great resources on this stuff, send them our way. I'm going to be learning and reading up a lot about this stuff. And then, we're going to talk about it some more. Hopefully it gets resolved. Never happens when
I'm
I say that.
canceling my spring break
Literally
plans
never.
to Sudan.
I should never say that. I should just never say that. I should
Never
just
talk, actually.
Meep, meep. Okay, we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Ghaznavi, Travis Irvine. We've had a happy, terrible, now uncomfortable show.
Meaty show is what you call that. You
Meaty.
start with some fun election results.
Yes.
You go into the most evil vice president of all time. You go into a terrible conflict in Africa that no one's talking about except us, apparently. And now we end with I guess, the funniest, worst vice president of all time.
JD Vance.
Give him a chance. He's JD Vance. No, wait, he sucks. And this week, the entire world gets to know how much he sucks.
Will someone make us a jingle? Can someone make us a
wonder.
jingle?
I think we're going for an AI jingle at some point.
Someone.
I feel.
No.
Or
Come on,
or
fans.
We just keep doing ours. Because
Yeah.
actually, I think people like it.
Is that right?
I've seen one comment that I didn't read that said, "What a jingle."
Okay.
Whoa, baby. We talked about Dick Cheney, vice president who was president.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're going to talk about J.D. Vance, a vice president who's, I don't think, will ever be president.
Oh, my God.
And this is what, at some point, somebody's got to do. I think we're the only show that week by week we're documenting how stupid and laughable J.D. Vance has gotten. I mean, when I first started doing this show earlier this year, we were talking about he went to Munich and said some things that people were like, okay, buddy.
And that was well within the bounds of what a vice president does.
Yeah, the confines of what a vice president does.
Go
But
make a
now,
speech abroad, blah, blah, blah. You represent the president, all that stuff.
He is continually auditioning for the big job. And I got to say, I don't think it's going well. Let's kick it off with what happened last week, ladies and gentlemen, when J.D. Vance, again, trying to fill in for his passed away friend, Charlie Kirk, went to a Turning Point event at Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
Which we all know is known for, football, I say, would be their best component at this point. But this was a meaty Turning Point event, and it all started as soon as JD got to the stage. Let's roll this beautiful bean footage from the beginning. Here we go. The hug heard around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up for the beginning of JD Vance's very bad week. Wow. Okay, this is Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, and what a hug, embrace. Wow. Okay, pause it. There he is standing there like an idiot. You just messed up.
Did he
so
just brick
bad.
up? Is he bricked up?
He just messed up. He's so, I mean, look at this. So this is the hug heard around the world. Everyone from conservatives to, I was literally finding articles from foreign news outlets, everything. Everybody was very upset about that hug because it is, give me back and pause.
I'm trying to get
honest
there.
Embrace.
We'll play it again.
Yeah. Look at this. And pause. And look at this. She goes hand up to the neck.
Wow.
His hand, and that hand goes lower. By the way, she's wearing leather pants, which, not my joke, but somebody pointed out that she dressed like a couch, which is probably getting JD all horned up. Either way, this is the hug heard around the world, folks. JD is married to a woman named Usha Vance, a daughter of immigrants, and they met at Yale Law School. And Erica, of course, she's distraught after Charlie was assassinated. And this was the hug. This sparked off controversy. Yeah. And I want to go to a couple more things here because in this same Ole Miss, and this is like, again, talk about a bad event. In this same event, and I saw this article from Times of India. Okay, so this is having foreign implications, folks. Even the Times of India reported on these comments from JD about his wife Usha's religion.
Oh my God.
Yes, and this is a big sticking point for a lot of people in the MAGA crowd is that JD is married to a Hindu, and she's more or less agnostic now. And JD Vance at this same Ole Miss event says when he was asked, and he did a whole Q&A after his speech, and he was asked about his faith, and he kind of went into this like apropos of nothing. Yeah, like I'm going to talk about my wife's faith now. He says, as I've told her. And as I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, I don't think they're actually his friends, but that's fine. Do I hope eventually that she, meaning his wife Usha, is somehow moved to the same thing I was moved by in the church? Yes, I honestly do wish that because I believe in the Christian gospel. And I hope that eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, God says that everybody has free will, so that doesn't cause a problem with me. That's something that you work out with your friends, your family, and the person you love most. This was huge because people saw this right after he hugs Erica Kirk in a sensual way.
Yeah. I think
he's throwing his wife under the bus for her religion.
I think the religion comment, for me, way worse than the hug.
There you go. But combined, sir. Combined, Now we're going to get to, and this is where I want to apologize to you as my friend.
Okay. Oh, God.
And also all of our listeners.
You never apologize, so this is going to be bad.
Well, this is the thing about the JD Vance segment. I try to keep it light.
Yeah.
But my algorithm is flooded
I'm sure.
with comments from people I hate talking about JD Vance in a way that they hate JD Vance. And unfortunately, that means I have to play them now on this show.
Oh, God.
So the first one comes from Michael Wolff, the journalist / author who literally when I first joined Twitter, now X, way back in journalism school, 2011, my first Twitter fight was with Michael Wolff.
You got into a fight with Michael Wolff?
Just a back and forth. I didn't know what I was doing. I also didn't really know who he was, but I knew that he sucked. And for whatever reason, Michael Wolff will not stop popping up in my algorithm in his stupid costume. He's just like talking in a garden in his beautiful home and like wherever, I assume upstate New York or something. But he thinks this is a major deal, this Erica Kirk hug and the potential throwing his wife and her religion under the bus. Let's go to Michael Wolff. Ugh.
Wishes his wife, Usha, would convert to the religion, Catholicism, that he converted to. He said this the other day publicly, which is weird, rude, and unnecessary.
So here we go. We all agree with Michael Wolff.
There are zillions of marriages that cross ethnic and religious lines. And I think most people in them understand that if this is your issue, that does not portend well for your marriage. But I actually don't think this is J.D. Vance's issue. His issue is that he understands that increasingly MAGA is targeting brown people and Jews, as it happens, and specifically targeting his own wife. How does he justify being married to a brown heathen? Well,
quote unquote,
he'll convert her.
He'll convert her. There you go.
Vance is probably the most shape-shifting politician in modern memory.
Man,
well done, Michael Wolff.
Changing his name, his religion, and his political bearing.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Once an intellectual moderate, now a right-wing troller. He's gone from seeing Trump as Hitler to Trump as savior. He will apparently do anything and say anything to continue his rise in the modern political order. Politics
here we go.
Politics ought to be the measure of the man. So let's note how easily J.D. Vance has thrown his own wife under the bus.
Yes. And what do you
it
do?
may not end there. He could.
What do you do?
Very well trade out the Hindu for the widow of the MAGA Christian martyr Charlie Kirk as his public flirtation with Erica Kirk might seem to suggest.
Oh,
there you go, baby. This is how he ascends. He needs to swap out.
You think that?
Michael Wolff thinks that, and it's in my algorithm, so now I think that.
Oh, man.
I just know, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is what I'm trying to highlight here, is that the cracks are starting to form.
Yeah.
Every week, since I've come on this show, we talk every week about how MAGA slowly turns a little bit more against J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
This event in Ole Miss could not have gone worse for him. And it's not just Erica Kirk or his wife. It's now highlighting what MAGA thinks about J.D. Vance and where he came from. You asked a very important question. Michael Wolff, he mentioned J.D. Vance changed his name. He changed his religion. Where does J.D. Vance come from? Peter Thiel. He is a Peter Thiel proxy. And I have exactly 2 more clips, if we can handle them.
I can
from
handle
people
them.
I hate and that you hate and the people our network hate.
Yeah.
Talking shit about J.D. Vance, and this is why it's important, because this next one comes from another guy who we used to do stand-up with in New York.
Oh.
Is now on the right.
Tim
Dillon on J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel. This is a major article, and I'll give, if you want to play the clip there from X, I want to give a little context here from an MSN article. So, not a right-wing network in any way. But they highlighted what Tim Dillon, which is it's so bizarre to me to have Tim Dillon being quoted in the news. I used to do shows with him at bars in Brooklyn. But Tim Dillon says that, according to him, Peter Thiel is starting to pay podcasters and influencers to talk positively about companies that he's running or that he's founded, like Palantir, which is, of course, compiling a list of like every American's data in the United States, right?
But they have a newsletter, right? It's just for their newsletter?
It's sign up for ours, please. We won't take your data. And then he goes further on to say that actually it's all in order to buy popular influencers, including himself, to promote J.D. Vance's eventual 2028 presidential run. Remember, Peter Thiel, and we'll highlight this here, not just in this clip, but one more clip that I have for everyone. But I know it as an Ohioan. Peter Thiel paid $15 million to get J.D. elected to the United States Senate in Ohio. And then from there, put in a good word and money into Trump's campaign to get him picked as VP. He's now on to one of his projects, J.D. Vance, turning into the big deal, the big head honcho in D.C. Let's see what old Tim Dillon has to say about this.
You have not one reservation about what's going on over there. I'm not saying you have to feel one way or another way, but if you don't have any reservations, if you have no reservations about what's happening with all these kids getting killed, I don't know, I can't trust you. If you don't have any reservations about Palantir taking everyone's information, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. I think they're buying people left and right. This is my guess.
There you go. He drinks his coffee.
They
Talk about
try to buy
Palantir.
me. My pussy costs a lot of money. I get invited to these dinners. I don't go. The reason I don't go is I remember one dinner, they're like, we'd like to discuss the media. I go, what? No, thanks. We'd like to discuss dinner. We discuss the media and culture. No thanks. Appreciate it.
That's true.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's fine. I've sat in these houses in Austin with these tech people, and I know what they want, and I know what they want me to go out and cheerlead for and say, well, it's actually a great idea, and there's probably a lot of money in it. There's probably a lot of money, and I just can't do it. It's not because I'm some great moral I wouldn't be good at it.
Yeah,
I'd be terrible at coming on here going, well, the good thing about the list. Well, no, if you actually think about the list this way, all my people that listen every week go, what the fuck happened to him? What the fuck happened to him?
Yeah.
So my prediction, and I don't want to name names because I don't know, but my prediction is you're going to see a lot of people over the next 6 months start thinking this list's a great idea.
Wow.
They're going to start telling you how great this is and how it's about terrorism. That's that'll start going, well, it's a terror. Have you heard? Is terrorism going to...
He slowly turns into Alex Jones. So anyway, that's just a highlight. But in that same episode, that's where he predicts that Peter Thiel's not just buying everyone off to promote his own technologies, but to prepare for J.D. Vance 2028. And this is the final clip from a man who we do not endorse whatsoever. This is absolutely a disgusting white supremacist man. And this is what I'm just trying to highlight here, and what is a very meaty, beefy J.D. Vance segment, and that is the cracks on the MAGA side are forming, right? It's not just Tim Dillon or your Michael Wolffs who had crazy access to people like Jeffrey Epstein and the Trumps. This is Nick Fuentes, who I know, and this is the thing, we're not endorsing anything else this guy says, but what's been so fascinating about this year is that Tucker Carlson says reprehensible things, and yet he says some things this year there's like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, don't want to bomb Iran. Okay, Tucker Carlson. MTG, right? Marjorie Tater Sauce Green. She's been saying things that we're like, oh, well, you're crazy otherwise, but... And here we go. Nick Fuentes really digging into J.D. Vance, and this highlights what Michael Wolff was talking about, what you asked about, and what Tim Dillon was hinting at with his comments as well.
You go through his life story,
talking about J.D.
and you
Vance.
realize that everything about him is fake. His time in the military, fake. They say he's a Marine. Look up his role in the Marines.
He was a
reporter, correspondent, right? A combat correspondent, which means he wrote press releases for the military. So he's a fake Marine. He goes to Yale Law School.
Oh, I can't believe we're
He
watching
meets
Nick play
Peter
this.
Thiel. He
I know.
meets
I'm sorry.
Other
I'm sorry
people.
to everyone.
I know
His
why you're
first
apologizing.
job in tech, it's a biotech firm.
He works
the
for Peter
CEO
Thiel.
says he only hired Vance as a favor to Peter Thiel. That was his first job. He graduates from law school and then works for a biotech firm. How does a law school graduate go to work for a biotech firm? Well, the guy that hired him tells us he hired him as a favor to Thiel.
There you go.
Then Vance works at a series of venture capital firms. First, he works for Thiel for about 7 months while he drops his book. Then he works for the founder of AOL at a company called Revolution. Then he starts his own venture capital firm with money from Peter Thiel. 3 firms in 5 years.
With Peter Thiel.
When he was at Peter Thiel's firm, his colleagues say they never saw him in the office. When he was at Revolution, his boss, the founder of AOL, this guy Case, says Vance didn't do much. Yeah. Inexplicably, he raises over $120 million at his firm, mostly from Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, and others.
Oh, he owes
So
them
he's
a lot.
fake venture capitalist. Then, even though he opposed Trump from the very beginning,
This is the big part here.
Peter Thiel organizes a meeting with Vance and Trump in 2021 to smooth things over. And then in 2021, Vance declares his candidacy for Senate of Ohio.
Boo.
Peter Thiel makes the biggest contribution of any individual donor in a Senate race in American history of $15 million. Thiel, with his connections, secures Trump's endorsement, and Vance becomes a senator.
There you go.
So he's a fake Marine.
Fake Marine.
He's a fake venture capitalist, and then he's a fake MAGA senator.
What about his name?
Now he's the vice president of the United States. Even his name is fake.
There you go.
He didn't go by Vance until he was 30 years old. Vance was the name of his Meemaw, and he changed his name to Vance just a few years before he published his book, which had been in the works for as much time, about his Meemaw, his story that gives him the credibility. For 30 years, he was J.D. Hamill. And went by other names.
There you go. Okay, that's the last time we'll ever play that guy. But what he said, and this is what I'm trying to highlight here, is that the cracks are forming in the J.D. Vance story. People, even as disgusting as Nick Fuentes and Tim Dillon, and as annoying as Michael Wolff, are all seeing the cracks. And it is so bonkers to have been doing this segment for weeks and weeks. I almost think if you do a culmination of only the J.D. Vance segments, we can show in less than a year of him as vice president, he's basically ruined himself with his base with the rest of us already, and of course with the rest of the world. So that is, I don't know if it's good news, but it's good news coming from bad people.
Oh my God.
And that is really
crazy.
Yes, it is. It's bonkers, but MAGA is turning on JD, and that's the only good news I got to offer this week.
Wow.
And
that was good. Wait, was that good news?
Yeah, because JD's ruining himself, and it all started at Ole Miss, of all places.
Of all places,
which I guess I got to root for them in football.
Man,
now.
I tell you, our line for like what is good news?
I know,
plummeting.
Welcome to 2025.
Wow.
But hey, don't forget, we end this show with good news about the worst vice president, and we started the show with good news about the most evil vice president. And that's what you call full circle, baby.
Wow. Thank you, Travis, for the JD Vance.
He sucks.
Listen, folks, foreignreportshow.com, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com. Send us an email. Sign up for the newsletter. Take a look. Smash that subscribe button.
Woo!
I said it. I love saying it. I don't say it enough.
You're good at saying it.
Guys, we love doing this show. We will be back. You will be back next week.
Yeah, we'll have some surprise guests. FP's daddy's off to be a good daddy. You're going on family vacation, which is why we love you.
Taking a week off.
And your family loves you.
Yeah.
So I'll be hosting in the host seat next week with some special guests.
But don't worry, I will tell my toddlers, hey, kids, have you heard about what's happening in West Asia and Sudan? They'll be like, Dada, no. No, please, Dada.
Great.
We'll see you next time, everybody.